om i världen. Och det roliga tycker jag är att hennes musik liknar ingenting annat. Och det gör inte hon själv heller.
I can tell you one thing about Iceland, that because it was very poor for about 800 years or something like this, when it was a Danish colony, not only it was very hard to live there because of the cold and all that, also they were taxed very heavily and treated very badly by the Danish. We were just taught to work 24 hours, and people would eat and they would still not stop working. So, and this we didn't stop until this century. So it's still, we are very workaholic, and we are very sort of like, if you're upset with things around you, you better do it, fix them yourselves. And they're very self-sufficient about things. So if you don't make yourself happy, you're a loser.
Isn't Iceland a very magic country?
I don't think so. I think it's in your head where the magic is, you know. And for me, Iceland is the most magical place on earth, but I think it's got a lot to do with it's my home, and I love it very much, you know.
But don't the elves have a lot to say in Iceland?
Yeah, but I think maybe, I mean, being such a rational person born in the in the rational times, I think it's a more complex thing than that. Than it's just a country and there's elves that live there as well. So what we got is we got the extremes. We got people who they're building big highways, but building around rocks, so not to upset the elves.
Yeah, that is really true.
Yeah, so we got, say like Sweden was 500 years ago. If then they had suddenly had mobile telephones and BMWs and satellite TV, so we got the extremes meeting. So we still got the myth and the folklore, you know. And I actually like this very much, you know.
Are the women especially strong in Iceland?
I think maybe women in Iceland are similarly strong as in Scandinavia. I find them quite strong compared to the rest of the world, at least England. You know, it's the whole Viking thing, I guess. And I don't think there's a lot of sagas which goes 1,000 years back where so many of the characters which are written in the history are female, you know. Exactly the sort of girls that easiest to flirt with.
No?
No, I think I've been told they're a bit too proud for that. They prefer to flirt with them and they prefer to make the choices.
So how are you going to do if you want to have an Icelandic girl?
Well, you better, I don't know, what's the recipe for a charming guy?
How did your man get you?
Well, he was just exciting bloke, so I just went for him. I've got this habit of doing everything in a very emotional manner, which is obviously can be really good in some situations, but in some situations it's very bad. For example, driving cars, it's not an emotional affair. Well, it shouldn't be.
So what happens when you are driving?
Well, I got myself a driving license when I was 24. I waited as long as possible. I didn't really want one. And then I got one, and I crashed my car 10 times in 1 year. And I also went in circle in it and everything. So, I don't know, I guess it's just not my thing, you know. I get too enthusiastic about the houses I drive past and people I see in the street and the sunset, and I'm not really noticing the rules. But I think I'm just an typical example of a child of someone like this, where I'm more sort of like that. I think one of the best things is that all the things that hippies were fighting about, which was quite sort of underground, have become commercial now. Like the whole green thing, you know, ozone layer, all those things, you know. and it's our job to make this, bring this into the system now, to make it work. It's not only theory; it has to be practice as well. And I can just sense that the whole, well, at least westernized world is very pissed off with all this kind of like scientific macho attitudes towards the planet. I know I'm talking cliches, but cliches are cliches because cliches are true.
Exactly.
So I think that's a lot what my generation is doing, is making all those dreams of the hippies come true.
What is your own attitude towards drugs?
Drugs. I think they can be good if they're used in the right way. But then again, there is no such thing as the right way. Each person has to find what suits him or her. And at the end of the day, people should, you know, decide what they want to do.
And also sometimes all right with drugs, that there will be an uproar, you know, you're now a symbol and what you say is so important, and maybe a lot of kids will start taking drugs because of what you say.
No, because I believe that what I say is not necessarily right for them, you know. It's right for me. And if people who listen to my music and like it, then start to become like me, they completely misunderstood the reason why I did this record.